Hey team members, today we're going to look at dissecting or breaking apart a word problem that's a division problem that's going to have a decimal quotient, all right? I just want to go through a couple pieces. One of the big things I've been stressing lately is to make sure we can figure out which number is going to be our divisor and which number is going to be our dividend. And that's the big thing when we come into word problems, because word problems can be ordered in a lot of different ways. You're not always going to have the dividend first or the divisor first. They can be written all different types of ways. So we're going to look at this problem. It says, I bought 12 cartons of ice cream. Yum. My coupon saved me $3 in total. How much money did I save per carton? So right away we have to figure out, what are we dividing? All right, one thing I want to point out is this word per. Per is a great division word, all right? And it always is going to tell us, per means for each. We can replace per with for each. How much money did I save for each carton? But per also means something else. Per is a division word. It's a fraction word. Anytime we have per, we can tell what we are dividing. It says, how much money did I save per carton? That means money's up here and cartons are down here. And we want to know per carton. Does it really say cartons? No. It says carton. That tells us that they want to know for one carton, how much money did we save? So something to think about when you see that per, you can put for each, or if you see a division problem that says for each carton or for each gallon, that tells you right away what's going to go there. Now, because we know how our division is written, this tells us right away that we are going to write this number as our dividend. I'm going a little slowly. I'm hoping you guys are filling in the blanks there. And our cartons are going to be our divisors. So let's get our other color here. Ba-ba-ba. So we have 12 cartons and $3. I know my dollar is going to be my dividend, so it's going to come first. We are writing this division sentence. $3 divided by how many cartons? 12 cartons, right? And if we were to write that, that would be 3 over 12. And basically what we're going to do here is we're going to create an equivalent fraction to this one up here with 1 at the bottom. All right, so basically this is just going to tell us our quotient, because any fraction with a 1 at the bottom just means it's equal to that number. So this is going to be our quotient when we find this solution. So we can just go ahead and write this out. Let's do purple. No, let's do this weird yellow. I like that one. All right, guys, so we can divide a few different ways. One thing you guys might be looking at right away is simplifying. 3 over 12. You know that you can divide each of these by the same number. Right away, I already know 1 can only be divided by 1 and 3. I can't divide it by 2 in order to get whole numbers, that is. So I also know that I can divide 12 by 3. If I divide by 3, 3 divided by 3 equals 1. And divide by 3, 12 divided by 3 equals 4. So if you are beginning to memorize your benchmark fractions, you might recognize this as a benchmark fraction. I will go over what that benchmark fraction equals, but not yet. Let's check with some long division and see how this puppy comes out. So we are doing 3 divided by 12. Remember, when we write in the house, we always write it inside out, so we start with the number on the inside. Our dividend is always going to go there. 3 divided by 12. Well, 12 cannot fit into 3 any times. Big old goose egg there. But we can make an equivalent decimal. As soon as I place my decimal in my dividend, I'm going to place it in my quotient as well. It always goes in the same spot. My equivalent decimal here is going to be 3 0/10 is the same thing as 3. Now I can say, how many times can 12 fit into 30? Let's think about that. 12 plus 12 is 24. That's pretty close to 30. If I add even 10 to 24, that's going to be over 30. So I know it's got to be 2. 2 multiplied by 12, we just did that, is 24. Remember, this is really 2 tenths multiplied by 12 is 2 and 4 tenths. Either way, just a different way to think about it. We're going to do a little bit of regrouping here. We're going to have 6 left over, or 6 tenths if you're keeping track of that decimal. 12 cannot fit into 6, so we need to create another equivalent decimal up here. 3 is the same as 3 and 0 hundredths. We can drop that 0 down. Now we need to know how many times can 12 fit into 60. Whew. This one is a multiplication fact, but we don't always use our multiplication facts to the 12s very often, so that can be a little tough sometimes. But let's just think of it. There's a couple different ways we could think of it. One way is to start with the highest multiplication fact you know for 12. Maybe you've memorized 12 times 3 or 12 times 4, and that can give you a really good starting point. You can also always start by multiplying by 10. 12 times 10, we know that we just move the decimal point over 1, is 120. Well, 120 is way too big, but you might notice we've got a 6 here for 60 and a 12 there in 120. So I'm pretty sure that 60 is half of 120, and then we multiply by 10. So I wonder what happens if we multiply by half of that amount. Oops. So we're going to end up with 5. 12 times 5, always good to check. 5 times 2 is 10, carry the 1. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6, 60, right? The other one is if you knew like 12 times 4 is going to be 48. Well, 48 is pretty close to 60. It's actually just 1 away. 48 plus 12 is 60. So lots of different ways to think of that. Either way that you decide to do it, you're good to go. 5 times 12 is 60. Subtract, and we've got nothing left. So here's our quotient. And no, we're looking for money, so we'll stick in a little dollar sign there. And if you recall, when we simplified our fraction, we said it was equivalent to 1/4. Well, remember 1/4 is a benchmark fraction that equals 25 hundredths. So that is very nice. And if we want to put this up here in our little answer area that we created, let's see, I'll pick a vibrant color. 25 cents per carton. 25 cents over every carton was how much money we saved. Alrighty? We got 12 cartons, saved $3. That is awesome. Remember, you can always multiply to check your work. In this case, you're going to be multiplying your quotient by your divisor. Here's your divisor. You would be multiplying 12 by your quotient here. 25 hundredths, and that's going to equal 3. So just keep that in mind to check your work. 12 multiplied by 25 hundredths. 5 times 2 is 10. Carry the 1. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. We need to put a placeholder. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 1 is 2. Let's add up these bad boys. 0 plus 0 is 0. 6 plus 4 is 10, carry the 1, and 2 plus 1 is 3. This says 300. That's definitely not what we're going for right now. We know that we have multiplied by a hundredth here with no decimal up here, so we know we must have at least a hundredth in our answer. So we get 3. Beautiful work, team members. This is just one way to look at breaking down a word problem. You'll have a few word problems to practice. Go forth and conquer.